Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is June 13th, 2022, and I'm your co-host, The Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today we're taking a look at Earthworm Jim. And this was released in North America October 1994 on the Sega Genesis. And then there's a bunch of other platforms as well, but I'm kind of partial to the Sega Genesis one, and I really want to call out because we always forget the music is so good in here. But
yes.
Let's see. Alamaxi, you kind of were familiar with this game, right?
Familiar in the sense that I played this probably when I was 14 or 15.
Okay.
And it was everything I remember, and then a whole lot of what I didn't remember. Like the mechanics I remembered, but the levels.
Yeah. Some
of the parts of the levels were like, oh, I remember this, but I had never progressed past snot your problem.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh,
it was really fun to actually see the end of the game.
I'm
time.
the same way. I played it when I was a kid, and I probably only saw the first two levels, and then so all this was kind of like a new game for me. Lobos, I think this is your first foray into Earthworm Jim. Is that right?
Well, I'm the same as you. Like,
Okay.
I had experienced the first maybe 2 levels or so. I definitely remember Andy Asteroids, and
Yeah.
definitely this first level.
Yeah. So we're in New
but
Junk City.
I never had it.
Is the name of this
Yeah,
level.
New Junk City.
So
This is the future of New York City, it looks like.
oh, is that
Made
what
with
New
tires.
Junk City, New York City?
I mean, yeah, there's
maybe.
tires everywhere.
Yeah. So let's talk a little about what this game is, and these are the type of games that I love so much because it's kind of a really far out there, in the same way that like Echo the Dolphin is you're controlling a dolphin, and here you're just like, who thinks about you're controlling an earthworm, right? So the idea is there's a space armor or whatever crashes down, and just this earthworm named Jim. I don't know if he got the name before or after. Doesn't matter.
Oh.
He just kind of like wiggles his way, and now he's got the super armor, and it basically makes him sentient and is able to shoot guns and jump around. And that is the premise of this action platformer, which I thought the game was amazing. Like I was just like I was thrilled at how well this held up.
There is motivation as to why the bad guys are after you, though. It's because that suit of armor was originally set out for the evil queen. The evil queen, pulsating, bloated, festering, sweaty, pus-filled, malformed Slug-for-a-Butt, or
Wait,
QSP.
Did you memorize that, or do you have that written down
I
somewhere?
remember that now.
I strangely enough had it memorized, but I do have it written down.
Okay, that's great.
I used to watch the cartoon. There was a cartoon
yeah.
on like WB11, or I don't know if that changes for different areas, but it was like 2 seasons. It was one of the greatest cartoons ever. It was this whole game just reeks of the 90s, and by reeks I mean everything is set up to be gross.
Yeah.
Like that grossness of the 90s, but it's done so well in this game.
Yeah, there's this game's magical because there's so many different things you do, and some levels have mechanics that are just really unique to that level. But
A lot of hidden stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed so much because I kept seeing things and I'm like, I gotta be able to do something with that. But
So I did play this game multiple times. I played through it, because you die and have to restart, and so that was a good opportunity to kind of learn this level. There is so this level there's a lot of like little ledges you can grab. They're all rock shaped, and there's spikes on the ground, and there's tires all around. There is actually a toilet. So again, this is Junkyard, right?
Yeah.
There is a toilet. Did anyone find the toilet? It's really hard to find, but it is kind of a little Easter egg.
I found it. I didn't go in it, but
Yeah.
I remembered something with the toilet. I remember
Yeah.
like you can flush yourself or something.
Yeah, something
Is
like
that right?
that. Yeah. But most important thing, Alamaxia, you make a pivotal, I don't want to call it decision. It's kind of a forced action. But you remember what you do? Like the first, maybe 30 seconds of this level, do you remember what you have to do?
Oh, you got to launch the cow.
Yeah. So there's like a refrigerator
Cow
hanging, and the screen does not allow you to progress until you launch the cow, and it just kind of goes off somewhere and it says like cow launched. You're like, that's weird. Huh. Okay. Well, whatever. Let's continue on. Maybe that cow will come back. We'll find out. So you go to a mini boss here. That mini boss actually took a while for me to figure out how to beat. It's like this trash can that he'll morph into a human-esque thing and kind of beat you. He also will shoot anvils at you, and then he does this thing where he mobilizes and goes from the left to the right. Anyone remember how you beat that boss?
Well, I did him again today, and it seems like he's got, phases for each of his forms. And as you shoot him or damage him, he'll go into a different phase. But then if you get hit in his last phase, he'll bop back up, and then it resets the fight, basically.
Yeah, so I think the idea is you have to, when he's moving left to right, you have to keep jumping over him, and then you just damage him through that, right? I think that's how that works.
Shoot until he dies.
Yeah, I think that's the only time you can actually damage him. So it doesn't really tell you that it's damaging him. So again, it took me good 3 or 4 playthroughs to figure that out. Yeah. We just kind of talked through the last boss, so I think we probably just should skip that one and go straight into Andy Asteroids. So who wants to walk us through what's going on
Andy Asteroids?
Yeah.
Andy Asteroids?
Oh, sorry. There's a question mark there.
Classic, though.
Yeah. Who wants to walk us through this? What's going on here?
Well,
it's kind of like Tempest.
You are
right?
trying
Maybe?
to run from. You're trying to run from Psycrow. He's after you, and you are on your pocket rocket going through, I guess, a wormhole.
Yeah.
And you have to collect all of these little orbs, little blue orbs, or it's called fuel. If you collect all of them, you get an extra life.
That has an
at the end of the
actual
level.
name?
Oh.
So actually a little technicality there. Let me push up my glasses there. So you don't have to collect them. If you do collect 50 of them,
50,
and you beat Psycrow to the end of this, you will get an extra continue. But if you want to just, focus on just beating Psycrow, you don't need to collect any of these.
Oh, but you have to beat it to continue, is that right?
Sorry, when I mean continue, like you get an extra continue, so if you die...
No, I know, but you were saying if you collect 50 and win the race...
Yes.
But you have to win the race to proceed to the next level.
No, because if you lose the race... Yeah, we'll see that. If you lose the race, you have to fight Psycrow. And so I think, What, did you win all of them? You beat them all?
I admittedly use save states.
Okay. So that's fair enough. Some of the later ones are really, really challenging. If you actually try to collect all 50, it's not all 50. I think there's like 55 or 56. In any case,
it's a vast majority.
Yeah. Every level will have, after you beat a level, you'll do that. And I think we're going to skip most of those. There might be one more of those, but yeah, because it's basically the same thing, we're just going to skip that. Just focus on the main levels. And speaking of levels, we are now on this level number 2, which is called What the Heck? And this one is Earthworm Jim in a fiery pit of hell, I guess. And,
it's Heck.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh. The Saturday morning gaming show after dark. We can't have that language here. The thing I want to call out here, I actually kind of found it interesting. When I do this gaming, I game on a CRT and then I record on my PC, right? So it's presumably it's the same image, but one is on the CRT. And around these images, you'll see like this ugly yellow border around there. Again, I don't see any of that on my CRT, so I think that's just the overscan protection to make sure it kind of looks orangish all the way around. But yeah, I noticed that when I was looking at the footage here, I was like, wow, that's a really prominent border that this is going on here.
Interesting, yeah.
So this is a pretty awesome level. One of the things that stumped me for quite a while is we see that we're on this green gem. If you step on this green gem, you can kind of use it like a treadmill thing. Did anyone have any problems trying to figure out what that green gem was, how you use that?
I remembered that one from my young days.
Okay.
See, I didn't remember it, but I noticed it, and so I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to like go jump on top of it or shoot it, and then it slides you off on its own. So then I was like, oh, I want to stay on it, and then just kind of naturally. It's a cool way to just naturally figure it out.
I was looking, I'm like, I know there's got to be something with the green gem, but what do I do? So, you do that.
We just got done fighting a lawyer there.
Yeah, the lawyer uses a folder to like protect himself. So you whip him, and he'll drop the folder, and then you can shoot him. And then we got who is this? Is this like a Mr. Frosty
Rusty
or something?
the Snowman.
Rusty the Snowman.
Okay.
Nice. Oh, this is interesting. You used your guns here.
Yeah, I don't know what you do. Like, how do you beat this boss?
Well, I use the whip, and if you hit him, he would immediately go back down. So you can pretty much stun lock him. But you have to. Oh, he dies so much faster with a gun, though. I see.
Oh, okay. This is really fun to learn how we
Yeah.
kind of different. All right, so here I want to know if people could figure out how to get past this area. So once you beat the rusty snowman or whatever you call it, you go to this area and there's like this little dude that throws a bomb, and then the ceiling caves down on you, and it's just like this loop of spikes coming down. But I could never figure out exactly, like, was there a trick that you guys could reliably get away from all this, or were you just kind of running around frantically?
Personally, I just, after the first time, I realized they're just going to keep falling and kind of follow me. So I died, and then I just, as soon as I saw him, I just started sprinting and just made it as far as I could. And it wasn't too bad because I think they kind of lagged behind, but I still had to deal with them.
Yeah, got hit a lot.
There's a platform you can hide under, and they'll just hit the top of that and not fall on you. They only go back and forth like 4 or 5 times, and then it's over.
Okay.
Nice.
Good
That's cool.
strats there. Yeah.
And I like how you're really looking up at the top of the screen and finding these little glinting spots, because those are indicating those secrets that we were talking about. That's where like some hooks are, and you might have to do like a double hook jump, or I don't even know if there's triple ones in here where you have to do 3 in a row.
Yeah, good question. I'm not sure. Oh, a little secret continued down there. I don't know if anyone saw that.
That's
like
awesome.
right next to the spikes, you can fall down almost like Prince of Persia style, and kind of grab onto the ledge there.
One thing I really like about this level is Evil the cat just grooving in the background.
Yeah.
It's kind of menacing, but also cute. It's like, I don't know, that's cool. I personally wanted to, I wanted to touch on we've already seen it a couple times, but like this game does some really interesting things with like layering.
Yeah.
Where like there might be a wall, but if you grapple, you can go through the wall and like kind of end up in a different area.
Yeah.
And also the whole thing where you're like going up a ramp, and then it turns 180. But now, if you keep walking it, you can walk all the way up the ramp. But if you try and jump up there, like it doesn't work. Yeah. It's really interesting. But I
do hear complaints about this game. Sometimes it's a little hard to figure out where you can actually jump and where you can't.
Yes.
But this is a really cool boss fight here. So we got removed from our spacesuit. So now we're just a poor little worm. And you can see the spacesuit at the top of the screen, and he kind of waves and points to himself. He's like, "Hey, jump in me!" But really, what you need to do is there's this cat that's shooting, I don't know, like call it lava balls or fireballs or something.
Yeah, fireballs.
Yeah. And the trick is you need to jump over the fireball, and then it will hit there's a platform that has a little pillar, and after enough of the fireballs hit that platform instead of you, it burns away, the platform comes down, and now you get your suit. And before we get started, I want to show you, I just realized this on my very last playthrough. How many times do you need to shoot this cat?
Oh yeah, I noticed while I was doing it. I was like, how many times do I have to do it? But it's like, oh, it's a cat.
13.
It's a cat.
No, excuse me.
But you can see the number on it. Did anyone see that you can see the number?
Yes.
Yeah. That's so brilliant. So who wants to walk us through? I'm going to call on Alamaxia for this one.
So fighting Evil the cat here, his eyes will just appear in one of the directions you can fire at, and he will leap at you super quick. You gotta be quick at it, because if he hits you, he'll just attack you, take out like 10% of your health, and then attack again. Every time you hit him, fireballs come from the side of the room. Dodge them, repeat.
Yeah. Once you get the pattern down, it's pretty easy.
You did that in an interesting way, because I did it differently. Like, you waited for him to appear and immediately shot him. Yeah. Whereas I just kept always moving, and if you're moving, he'll miss you, and then you can turn to the side and shoot him.
I don't know. I got hit so many times that
I did it first, but it's tight. Like if you're in a corner and turning around when he pounces, then he'll just grab you.
I just found it better just to hold my gun up and just start to fire when I think he's going to come, and just like spin it around. So that kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, it's a good call.
So we are on Andy Asteroids. By the way, I read up a little bit on this, and I believe that this was actually named after one of the engineers on the project, Andy something or another. His last name was not Asteroids. So yeah, I think that was the legend there. So
nice. I need to give a shout out to the music on this level, because it's Tommy Tallarico on the soundtrack, right?
Yes.
And this music is just so like hoe down, like woohoo, let's go, and Earthworm Jim's going, whoa Nelly, when you hit the speeds, and man, that whoa Nelly line, even though we never had the game, was such a line in my childhood with my brother. Anytime we play video games and something crazy would happen, we'd, whoa Nelly. So like I didn't even know where it came from until I replayed it, and I was like, oh my god, yeah,
that was this game. I do want to give a shout out to on the next level, which is going to be Down the Pipes or something like that. Anyway, music's really, really great, but we'll see that here in a second. So this is, we just lost. Again, each one of these Andy Asteroids levels does get harder, progressively harder. And so here, this is what happens if you lose. And again, if you lose on the earlier races, Psycrow is easier to hit or to kill. Okay. Later on, he's a bit harder. But the gist of this is you have to shoot him with the gun. He's got a jetpack. You got to shoot him with the gun, and that kind of stuns him, and he hovers. And then you got to whip him with your head, and that will actually damage him. And I think that's how it works. And then after a couple shots, he'll fly away, and you can move on to the next level.
Oh my gosh, this level.
Down the tubes. Okay,
this in the next level.
I'll let you take it over, but I just want to say this is the music. Like, this is the music here from Tommy was amazing on this level. It's just like a real cool, I don't know what you call this, but just real head bopper. All right, Lobos, why don't you walk us through some of your frustrations here? So first of all, just like set the scene. You're kind of like underwater in this base. You can see like this like really base. This really felt like Echo, and maybe just because it was underwater, but it's even tubes, and I think there's a tube level in Echo. But anyways, you're going through these tubes, kind of like BioShock almost, and you're underwater, and it's very narrow force direction. And there will be these patrolling enemies. Some of them you can kill, and some of them are these big, muscular cats that are just walking back and forth. And if you touch them at all, they'll grab you, and they'll punch you like 10 feet back, and you have to try again. That's right. There's these other guys we're coming up to. I think we eat them with a hamster, but they'll actually they'll use it like I don't know what you call it, but like beating a rug, slamming it on the ground back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But there's for the cats, you have to kind of wait as they patrol away from you, and then you can jump up in the top middle of the tube and grab like a handle and hold yourself up while they go underneath you, and then you drop down and keep going. But the main reason I ugged when this level popped up was these little submarine piloted sections, which the next level is the worst. It's anxiety inducing, man. You get this certain amount of air, and you have to traverse just from point A to point B. It's not too bad, except that every time you hit a wall, your freaking ship just cracks a little bit. And you're like, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. And
one time,
and the controls are
And then you start ricocheting between walls.
Yeah, it's basically like when things start going bad, don't try to correct, just stop moving, let everything resolve, and then like, all right, very carefully figure out. So the way that this works is you're in a sphere and you have these two engines, and you basically need to orient the engine to propel yourself in some direction. And you can see there's like these little air things that, air generators that you can attach to refill your air. But for the longest time, I didn't know what those were. So I was like, what is this thing sticking out? It kind of looks like bubbles are coming out. And also, why am I losing air? And then sometimes I'd snap onto it, but I didn't know what it was. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's an air generator. And so that's the first step, is to figure this out. Like, okay, there's your refillable air. Now you just need to move from point to point. So like you said, Lobos, the first one's not too bad. You get the lay of the land a little bit. I think you can probably take 10, 15 hits before you die, but I don't know that speed really matters. So you can hit something at like full speed or just barely tap it, and it's like, you hit it. That's another crack.
The faster you hit it, though, the more it ricochets you. So it's kind of that if you hit it fast, make sure there's not a wall on the that you're gonna get into.
Yeah.
I think the hardest part about the controls is you're controlling these engines, and they both look the same way, but they're tank controls. So you can't just instantly flip from, pointing upright to pointing bottom left. It's like you have to spin all the way around and then turn it. No.
So before we get to this next one, I want to note that a lot of times the air you're getting is about 30 seconds of air, right? So we're gonna jump in here, and we have another sequence. And you start charging up with air, and it goes to 99, and you're like, oh, things are going to get real here, right? And again, just the music while you're filling up, and the whole level, but while you're filling up, the music just is like this almost like droning music that's kind of getting you hyped for what's going to go down here. So we're just about there. We have to get this hamster, basically ride the hamster. This is the way that you can get past these dudes that will pick you up and slam you down. Not the big guys Lobos was talking about, but these little smaller guys.
Tossy slammy guys.
Yeah.
Tossy slammies. Yep.
So this is really challenging. And I'll tell you what, did anyone know that there is a second air filling station here? Okay, I was wondering because I beat it once without it, and I'm like, there has got to be like that. It is so tight. You have to be so perfect. There's got to be another fueling station in here.
Is it where those power ups are there, where the gun is?
No, it's a little. Bit, it's about 3/4 the way through. And it'll fill you up to 60. So that allows you to kind of play this a little. Yeah. So if you're using save states, it's okay, right? Because you can kind of figure it out. But if you're like again, the timing was just way too tight to do the whole sequence in 99 seconds. That I until I realized that, I probably lost like playthroughs on this.
I think the time wasn't as bad as my the problem with just the human reaction when the time's ticking down. You're like, I gotta go. So then you start making all these mistakes, and then you explode.
And then you make a mistake that costs you 10 seconds, and then you're like, oh, and now I need to make up for that. So you get even more reckless, and it's this downward spiral.
You're like, well, it's done now. Just go.
So this thing has a lot of ups and downs through these narrow chasms, and we're getting to the station here. There's like two little white lights, and you can go through here, and boom, look at that. So it brings you up to 60, and now it's home stretch. That's easy.
That's nice.
Nice.
So Alamaxia,
that's the part where I start panicking.
I did not know about that one, but I did not have too much of a problem with this, and I attribute all of it to the fact that I've played Rocket League way too long, and that game deals with thrusters and aiming yourself in a three-dimensional environment. So this was just the tank controls just naturally made sense to me. So I was flying around. I think I had like 14 seconds left when I landed at the end.
Okay, that's pretty good. There are certain games that when I get to sections, I'm not a speedrunner, but I can imagine the dread of someone trying to speedrun this game, like on that section, would just be nightmare-inducing. But you get to the end, and there's no boss. There's just a fish that you...
No, it's the hardest boss in the game. Absolute hardest.
Fishbowl.
It's a little goldfish that you just
Bob the Killer Goldfish.
Okay.
Poor guy.
All right, it's not a problem. I think Alamaxia said this is the one you got hung up in the past, so why don't you walk us through the new improved strategies on how this works and what you do.
So you are fighting against Major Mucus, and you're bungee jumping back and forth. You're just having a nice fun time bungee jumping over this pit of weird acid with a monster in it, but you gotta knock him into the wall to break his bungee cord. And on the right side you can see what his health is, and on the left side you can see what your health is, just represented by like how torn your bungee cord is. So you can just just hit him like just with your body to knock him over, or you can charge into him, which is going to knock him a lot further, but it also, if you miss, you're going to go flying past him. Now if you when you're falling down, if you're too close to that beast in the bottom, he'll reach up and grab
only on the second level, in the second round.
Oh, it's only
starting in the second round. Yeah, the first round it's kind of just a tutorial. It's just you and the mucus dude.
Okay.
And he seems to be more affected in the first one. So there's 3 rounds, and every round he seems a little more resistant to you charging him.
He gets smarter.
Slower.
He gets smarter about things.
Smarter.
Now I did really go through a bit of testing on this, and I learned that every 12 times you hit him, he spins.
He'll do the spin.
Oh, is that what that is? Okay.
And when he's spinning, you can just stay on the sides of the level, and he won't hit you.
My strategy...
because I'm a dirty spammer. So like I would get next to him, and then I would just like tackle, and he would spin so much, and I'm like, okay, it's my fault, but I'm still gonna do it. So
the strategy here for me is when you are going down, that was my attack, and when you're going up, you want to be as close to the wall as possible because he wants to come to you, and then you just kind of loop around him and just start smashing him into the wall. So that's how I did it. Did anyone else have a strategy?
Mine was pretty much the same, yeah.
Yeah, going upward, it was pretty much the same, but I was attacking him a lot more going down.
Okay.
This level, I just remembered, ow, my continues.
Mm-hmm.
I had to open up so many can of worms.
By the way, I love that your continues are a can of worms. You literally open. It's like, oh, so much in this game is so brilliant. I don't know. It just. Oh, and by the way, all the levels had interesting level names, but now we're just on level 5.
Level 5.
Level 5. It's like, oh gosh, you gotta love everything about this game. It's just so wonderful. So this is an interesting one. This is a what'd you call this? Maybe like a spaceship
It's
or
like a factory
thing?
I don't know. Yeah, felt like a factory to me or something.
Yeah, and they have these little guys that are kind of grenade looking. They have big eyes, and then they'll blow up, and 3 little earthworms will come and attack you. I don't know why maybe they're jealous. They don't that you have a super suit.
Those
they don't.
worms.
I don't know they're earthworms because
They're slugs, right?
Oh, slugs.
They're
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, QSB rules over the planet insectoids, so you're just being attacked by different forms of insects at this point.
I got you.
I think what you're doing is you've kind of made your way to the planet.
Yep.
Interesting.
And in this level, there's a lot of these black orbs, which if you stand on them, become electrified. So, and there's a couple other sections they have. We're just passing some right now. They're almost like those balls of
Tesla coil?
plasma that you would hold, you'd touch, and your hair goes up.
Oh,
it
yeah.
kind of looks like that,
Yeah.
except for it's all silver,
Mhm.
and it just has like electricity that can come off it there. But yeah, a lot of doing the grapple, which, you know, how did you guys feel like the grapple controls were, like how reliable it was? Did you have any issues?
Oh,
I mean, you have to learn the spacing of where your body will exactly, so you can grab it. Sometimes you could grab it early, like if you jumped higher and like kind of, I don't know. It was weird. It was a little janky, but I got kind of used to it.
And then also,
even towards the end, I was still having a bit of problems. It's just the timing for me. It was just, if it wasn't perfect, there I went.
Yeah. And also you kind of change your exit velocity based on how you're holding the controller. So I found that a little weird.
Yeah,
I did find there was you could grab one, fly over, and then turn around and grab the same one to do a 180.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yep. You have to use that in actually one of the later levels here. So one of the things that has just happened here is you step into this steel cage. Kind of reminds me of something from American Gladiators. If anyone remembers that one.
The ball and the motorcycle. Wait.
Yeah. So you're in this.
No, yeah, they just push into each other. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and so you're in the steel cage, and you go into the very center of these things, and little, I don't know, are these eggs that are coming at you? Yeah, we'll call them eggs.
I think they're electrified. They're look like giant cells.
Okay.
But they're like electric or something.
Anyway, they're coming at you from, what is this, 9 directions? And so you just got to stand there and shoot them as they come. They come one at a time, but you don't know where they're coming. So you kind of have to be quick on the draw. And then you do that twice, and then you can move on. And, we haven't really talked about the guns at all. And
no, we didn't.
Lobos, you're our weapons expert. So why don't you walk through all of the plethora of weapons in this game?
Yep, you've got one gun, and it's this kind of.
You can have another one, right?
Yes, plasma. But it's like extra different ammo type or something. But I mean, if you were to ask me what it is on its own, I would say it's a plasma gun. And it's very fast shooting. I always remembered about this game as a kid how much ammo you have. You get like thousands of ammo, and I was like, holy, like, but you can just like. You deplete it really fast if you just hold down the button and he shoots really fast.
But thousands!
Thousands!
By the
way, you can find these gun pickups that will restore your energy. Did anyone find the
secret here? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but did anyone find the secret?
I did not.
Yeah, we're on a secret level. So keep talking about the guns here while we go through the secret level.
Gosh. Okay, all right. Well, there's just basically the normal fire, and then you can find some power-ups that will give you single-shot plasma beams that are thick and will do a lot of damage. Plasma! Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Let's talk about the secret level. What's going on here?
So you're in the factory. You're getting to the spot where there's this cat that's like opening up these little, I don't know, things that eyes come out. Anyway, if you go to the very top left of it, there's like this little it's kind of actually medium-sized black box with a red circle in the center. And if you touch that, you go into this bonus level. So this bonus level is interesting. It is completely dark, except for there's these spotlights, which kind of shine and give you a little bit of a direction where you need to go. But there's ledges, and sometimes it's really hard to see, like, where can I jump? Where do I want to go? Most importantly, there's 2 extra lives in here. We just got one a little bit earlier. Nice. And I think coming up soon, there's another one, but they're kind of hard to get to. So in this one, you can see it's like right next to you, but you can't get to it. And we'll find that there's just Lobos, you were talking earlier about paths. You can kind of like go upwards and then switch back, and then whatever. It's kind of like one of those where you have to jump at the right spot, and you can jump over there and get that extra life. But all of that is contingent on you not screwing up the last portion of this, right? So we got 2 extra lives, and there is an enemy that's going to come out that will instant kill us if it hits us. So you need to make sure, like, you want to basically beat that in less than 2 lives. Otherwise, going to this bonus level has really just cost you lives. So this is it right here. The way that this works is you go into this completely dark room, but you can see your eyes, like, so you know kind of the general location of you. You can also see some enemies' eyes. So as you're running, you see yourself kind of getting higher, and you're like, all right, cool, here's a mountaintop here and mountaintop here. And all of a sudden you get to this area, these 2 big eyes come at you. And the idea is you need to jump over this, I think it's a cat or something that's following you.
Yeah.
And so the idea is you have to run back to the top of the mountain, which, by the way, because you can't see where the top of the mountain is a little challenging, because you have to just kind of judge where your eyes are, and then jump over this cat as it's trying to get to you. And if you do that, you can make it to the exit. So let's sit back and watch it in action.
That's cool.
So here we go. I'm at the top of the mountain. Yep, there we go. Nice. Jump over him, and then you just got to get to the exit there. And by the way, I don't know if you saw Earthworm Jim's eyes when the big eyes come out of the darkness.
Awooga.
Yeah, he's like, Awooga. His eyes just get really big. And then it warps you back to where you came from. So a nice little stint in the same level gives you a couple extra lives and some ammo too.
Going back a little bit to the gun power-ups, I feel like there was only maybe one time where I got a plasma upgrade,
and you wanted
where I like used it in an effective way, because I always was like, well, there's a tiny enemy, I better shoot it, and it was just like boosh, and I'm like, well, that's a waste.
Because you can't like save it, you have to use it.
Yeah.
Right? The challenging thing with this game is you can shoot in 8 directions. I think it's 8 directions. But it's kind of hard to line up your shots. So it's okay with a machine gun, because you just kind of like spray and pray. Like, you start off in one direction, you just kind of spam all directions till you hit something. But with a plasma, because it is that single concentrated burst of fire, it is really hard to line up that first shot.
Yeah, if you're aiming like up and right, for example, he'll move to the right until you start shooting. If you're doing the fast burst, you can hold it down and he'll hold its place while you aim. But yeah, without it, it's just
tough to aim.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about weapons, we can talk a little about these health pickups here. So you have 100 health, and that is represented by some. I don't know. Is this like some sort of atomic energy or something?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that I'm guessing that your suit is powered by this atomic energy, and enemies will reduce that energy, and when it hits 0, your character dies. And then you have tons of extra lives. I feel like every level had at least 1 or 2 extra lives on there. So again, once you memorize the level, it's pretty easy to pick up all those lives and come out ahead. I will say on that note, the most challenging thing about this game, honestly, is just kind of like figuring out where you need to go and how you beat the bosses. Yeah. The actual execution wasn't that bad. It was, kind of enjoyable. So I wouldn't say it's difficult to execute, but just difficult to kind of figure out what you're supposed to do. Anyone get the feeling that that's the sentiment there that they, kind of agree with?
100%. They did a lot in a small area. They turned each level into just this maze of, and we've mentioned it several times, these layers and different ways to just go around and find new things. There are so many secrets in these levels.
Yeah.
and you can just get to them by using the basic mechanics. Like one mechanic we haven't really talked about much is the way Jim hovers in the air. He like spins himself around like a helicopter. Yeah. It wasn't until like I think the last level that I realized I could hover by just keeping on pressing jump and holding up. Otherwise, it was just like and I drop.
I couldn't figure out how that worked either. I would do it randomly and just for like a half second. Yeah, and it wasn't until I realized, you have to mash on it, then you get a little bit of hover, and you're like, oh, this is so much better. I understand why some of those power-ups are just out of reach because you're supposed to use that hover.
Yeah. That's one I remembered from back in the day. Okay. So it, on the first level, I was like, oh, yeah. When it was like I could barely just not reach something. Helped out there. This whole monkey science
Professor Monkey for a Head.
What is how does this work? I don't think I really truly understood this side. So we're leading up to the actual boss fight here, and there's this monkey that's throwing electricity at you, I think, and then brains or something like that. Anyway,
it's like potions. He would throw potions that explode and just constantly. Boof,
and
boof, boof.
Like sometimes you'd hit him enough and he'd run away. Other times it seemed like he was more than happy to just stand there and shoot at you. I don't know.
From what I gathered, he would just run away after X amount of damage dealt, and then go on to the next section when he would show up again. Some areas were just more like difficult to deal with, like. But I think maybe the best way to do it is just to jump on the line yourself and then shoot sideways, because then you don't have to aim or anything, and you're just there constantly shooting him until he runs away. Oh, I liked this. This wheel here, this valve.
Yeah, because it's releasing brains, right?
No.
That's not what it does?
Well,
I thought it releases
you
brains. You
didn't stay there and shoot it? So if you drop down and shoot it, it'll drop like a little health piece or something like that, or another health piece, another health piece. And then after a couple, it'll actually spawn those like black kind of floating ghost cat looking things. And
no.
It'll once it depletes. I kept doing that just to see, and it was like 4 or 5 of them. And I was like, that's enough.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Here's an interesting one. Robot Chicken. Who's got the strategy for this one?
Oh my! This one is a lot of dodging. I wrote down dip, duck, dive, and dodge and duck, or chicken in this case. So we're gonna have this robot chicken kind of hovering around the room, walking around the room. He himself doesn't do too awful much, but he just really is. He's accurate at just following you. His tracking is really good. He'll shoot out these little kind of ice ball things, and after he goes under
Aren't those eggs?
I think they're eggs.
Yeah. Are they eggs? They are eggs. That's not nice. It's a chicken. It's an egg.
Yeah. Okay. It looked like it. It looked like an ice. Anyway, so you're fighting him, and he's just running into you. You gotta it's an endurance battle there, and now you're just skydiving. You're falling down this long shaft. I don't know. But he's flying after you, and you just gotta dodge him, and
it kind of reminds me of Joust.
It's very chaotic.
You want to be above him and shoot him because he wants to ram you. So and he also throws these bombs at you. Yeah, this one is a little challenging, but in some ways it kind of reminded me of the bungee cord thing, where you want to manipulate his position by moving yourself lower and then rising up. So,
go like overhead.
Yeah, overhead.
And then shoot. Yeah. So actually, I found a really good strategy for the first phase because I died a couple times on the bungee part or whatever. And you just wait for him to walk to the center. And then once he's like, I saw he was flying past the center, but he would walk to the center. And then I could just stun lock him with the
you can get stun
drops.
locked. Yeah, because you whip the, there's like a little target. And if you whip the target with your head, it'll... what will come out? Something will come out, like the electricity.
Yeah, it's one of those cells, the electrical
cells.
Yeah.
So let's move on to this one. This one's for Pete's sake. This is an absolute brilliant level. I love it. It's so great, different than the rest of the levels here, but it's certainly a little challenging. So.
I think it's a great take on the escort quest. Yeah.
So who is Pete? Who is Pete, and what do we need to do here?
Pete the dog is Jim's best friend.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm. Is that canonical?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That's from the cartoon.
Oh snap! I feel like they retconned that.
Yeah, I was gonna say best friends don't shoot each other, whip each other, or punch each other. So it's a unique
maybe
relationship.
He just loses control.
He's
like the Hulk.
He just loses it whenever he gets touched by anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's not an
you.
excuse. You know, like just anger management. That's something you need to deal with, not me. So. So here we go. Yeah. So all right. So this to set up the scene here. It's a dog, which this is like straight out of Disney in my opinion. It's just kind of this happy-go-lucky dog that's skipping along this very
adorable.
treacherous level, and you need to make sure he gets from point A to point B safely. If you whip him with your head, he'll go flying in the air. So it basically like jumps, and if you shoot him, he'll duck. And so a lot of the puzzles are, here's a chasm. You need to whip him right in front of the chasm, and then he jumps over. Or there's a bunch of meteors coming down, and you need to shoot him, so he'll duck, and then meanwhile you can shoot the meteors coming out at you. And the way that they layer things is really, really cool. So for instance, they'll have a jump where Pete has to jump, but then there'll be an enemy right on the other side of the chasm, right? And so what you need to do is you need to whip your guy to jump, and then while he's in the air, shoot the enemy on the other side of the chasm. So there's a lot of like kind of figuring out, all right, what do I need to do, and then executing it in a very tight time frame. So it was a fun level. Just it's sometimes a little nerve wracking.
Well, we didn't talk about the fact that if Pete falls into a hole or gets hit by an enemy, he morphs into a massive purple demon beast and grabs you.
He flies,
throws you back.
Yeah.
He flies.
It'd be nice if he could
done
just
this the
fly
whole
through
time.
this level. Just maybe we get him angry here. So
you have to keep him safe and escort him home. Basically,
the thing
it's worth noting that while you whip him to launch him up, you can double whip him. So you can launch him up and then whip him again in the air, and it'll launch him even higher.
That's great.
I never did that.
So I used that to get past a couple parts, like we saw those two toggle ramps that kind of flip back and forth. I was like, let's just pass this up and just double whip him over.
Skip strats.
You know what's funny is there's a couple enemies in here. I think the tentacles and these UFOs, when they hit you, they'll kind of like stun you and start draining life. Yeah. They'll take a lot of life, but if Pete falls, he'll basically rip you out of the clutches of whatever is killing you, and he quote saves you because you stop taking damage and he moves you to a safe spot. So it's like, Pete's actually kind of looking out for me here. He's like, just get away from that plant that's killing you. So I really like this level, and I'm curious at the very end of this. I think we're coming up on it soon. There's a little bonus, right? You can send Pete home, or you can just be like, I'm going home. Did anyone try to do the bonus?
Oh, maybe I didn't do the bonus then.
I'm not sure.
So you get to the end here, and it says home is like down, and then it says something like advanced course to the top right. And I was like, I'm a little sadistic. Let's try it out. So I did try it out. I wasn't able to complete it. Again, this is one of those levels. It's like when you get to the end, you just kind of want it to be done. You don't want to. You don't want to press your luck. But I might look online to just see like what that looks like, because I wonder how crazy this course gets. And again, the course does get really demanding on the amount of shooting at the right time, jumping at the right time. It's well made though.
Oh yeah, it's like an auto scroller kind of. Yeah, it's really cool. To micromanage Pete and the other things. Mm-hmm.
Poor Pete looks so sad when he's hanging on that little chain. He just looks so sad. He's like this little puppy that's just like
he's helpless. Oh no!
I love just again the dichotomy of what's going on here, and then again just kind of going back to what's going on in the background is you got this really cool planet. It's almost like a Jupiter planet with a stellar nebula type. You got like these purples and yellows there, so it gives you something very cool to look at while you're doing this level. All right, so now you can skip him over the little home, and now we got an advanced level. And I think I make it a little bit there, but not too far. So I think there's probably just more. There's probably just more, maybe a couple one-ups there. But in any case, I let Pete go home because I was like, maybe I tried again. It's a little scary. It's like, oh, come on, just beat the game.
That's only 10% health each time, so well.
Yeah, the thing is, if Pete falls in a pit, he gets angry and he'll take 10% of your health. But if you fall into a pit, you just die. So better let Pete.
It's because he can fly.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I think we got like 2 more levels here. The next one we have is Intestinal Distress. And so I'm not
was
quite
Sega
sure.
exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right.
They did not have this one in Super Nintendo.
Also to mention, I think in other releases, level 5 wasn't necessarily level 5, but it was still called level 5.
Okay.
Just because.
Well, I think also on the Super Nintendo, I might be confusing my Earthworm gyms. This might have been the second one, but I thought the Super Nintendo had a thing where there were dogs that were being thrown down. And you had to try to use
That is number 2.
Okay, that was okay. It's a little mini game where you use like a trampoline, like a fireman's trampoline, to bounce dogs into a goal or something like that.
I remember that being really difficult.
Yeah, it was really difficult. You know, and everything about this game, when I was playing, it's just everything about this is really special, like in a way that's almost indescribable. But, you know, Alamaxia said it's totally from the 90s, right? And it takes a lot of inspiration from other genres and other games. Like, you know, a good example is the name of the princess we're saving. Like, by the way, did anyone know we were trying to save a princess here?
Nope.
Well, that's the whole goal. Don't worry about it. She doesn't even have a name. that was the joke,
Princess,
right?
what's her name?
Princess, what's her name? It's like, you know, the thing is, it's like so many games were just like, oh, go save a woman that doesn't really matter in the context of the story. It's just
right. Thanks, Mario.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just like, oh, you just go have fun. Oh yeah, by the way, there's a princess. So they kind of just take it to 11 and be like, yeah, you know, it literally doesn't matter. So just go over here and beat the level, and we'll find out how much it doesn't matter at the end here. Which, by the way, there's still a cow that's kind of flying around. I think we might have caught a glimpse of it into the tubes. I think we forgot to mention that. But yeah, there's a cow that's still flying somewhere. There's another sighting on
level 5.
What was that?
5?
Oh, level 5?
There's another cow on level 5, yeah. Now, one thing I really like about this level is the name of it, obviously, Intestinal Distress. You are literally crawling around in intestines.
But whose?
Exactly.
It seemed like the progression of the level was actually how intestines would be. I felt like you kind of went through like some of the large intestine or small intestine. Now you're going through the large intestine.
Okay.
And that's where we're going to get to the next level. So I'm not sure how we got here.
Don't ask questions.
I mean,
maybe
it's the 90s. It involved, poop, slime, and smelly things.
Yeah. That it did.
Speaking of which, there is some matter that is coming down in ball-shaped forms. That is, that you got a Donkey Kong over that thing, right?
Those were fast. And I got hit hit by those and died so many times. It was really crappy.
They do a lot of damage too.
They do, yeah. And this next boss you can get into a really vicious pattern of getting killed. Lobos, did you figure out the pattern for what you do with this kind of mucus shooting guy?
Honestly, all I did was run and kind of bait him into where he would jump, and then shoot him, and it would pretty much stun lock him. So I don't know if there's stuff I missed, because sometimes he would shoot out yellow stuff, but
that's more or less
basically
right.
what you're doing here.
If he gets too close at you, he'll stop jumping and he'll just start shooting. But if he's too far away, he'll jump. So a lot of it is just kind of like, run to the one side of the area, take a couple shots, run to the other side, take a couple shots, and hopefully he's jumping left and right.
This is how I fight Boomer Kuwanger in Mega Man X, just a random. I jump over him, though, the other way. Sure.
That's the wrong game. You can't.
That is the wrong game.
No, that's
hey, we played that on the podcast before. Go listen to that episode.
We're redoing the episode.
Oh my gosh! All right.
Now this boss's name.
Oh,
Doc Duodenum.
What? Did you say doctor?
Doc Duodenum.
Doc Duodenum. Duodenum. I looked it up. It's the first part of the small intestine, which connects to the stomach.
Okay.
Or which connects, or to somewhere. So, yeah, you have Doc Duodenum there.
And then what's the name of the next
the boss
level?
of the intestine? Buttville.
We're
going to Buttville.
The most Twitch name ever. It's just like,
that's like you ask 90s. You ask a group of like kindergartners, like, you get to make a level. What do you call it? And they're like, Buttville. And you're like, and they were totally just like, yeah, Buttville. Yeah, let's do it.
So the name, it cracks a smile, but the start of this level for me certainly doesn't crack a smile. This is a little nasty. So you have these real narrow corridors, and the intent is and they're all spikes. So there's spikes all around, and you need to use your hover mechanic, which, by the way, I hope you figured out how to use it, because you need it in this level.
This is about where I figured it out.
Yeah, this is where you figured it out. Yeah. And by the way, like like that water level we were talking about, when you hit one of the spikes, you'll kind of bounce off other spikes. So yeah, it's fast and furious. But one of the things that's nice about that level is there's a couple 1-ups there, so you can use those to kind of prop up your learning a little bit, because you do need to figure out, like which path you want to take, which one is easier to go down.
Another kind of Mega Man-esque thing. Oh, sorry, reset it again.
Okay. That's 2. That's the third one. You're fired. Was there? I thought you were going to say something about Mega Man, but you're just saying like the hives.
No, I was the whole fall thing. I think we did Mega Man.
Okay.
Mega Man 2, and there's a falling section, and it's
right.
Like, you gotta avoid the spikes.
Yeah, like in the ocean or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So
this I was going to say, this level doesn't really live up to its name. Like
really.
Intestinal Distress did.
Yeah.
Buttville, I don't.
This
is a really weird butt.
There could be more butts, is what I think what you're saying. I think there is like one that we'll get to.
Oh, is there one?
Yeah. It's
there is one.
Boss,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So this is the final level here. I think some of the nastiest things what we're seeing now are these pincer guys, and they look like little centipedes with big pincers on them.
Mandibles.
Yeah, and they'll stay in the background. You can see their eyes, but then they'll come out every once in a while, and if you are in the area, they'll snip your body in half.
Ow.
So that's real nasty, and that obviously kills you. And you can shoot them, but that just makes them go away temporarily. They don't.
You can kill them with the whip, and I did not find.
Oh.
Yep, and I didn't find this out for a while, and it made things a lot easier.
Yeah. Along with these spikes here, there's a lot of these grappling point hooks.
I like this. That is one point of the grappling I did like, was climbing that grapple tree.
Yeah.
Yep, that was great.
There's also these basketballs. Like, that's what these are, right? I mean, what else could they be?
Yes, they
There's
are.
These basketball platforms.
I can even read Spalding on the side. We're going to need to get our Spalding sponsorship checked away. So
that's the third time you're now throwing us under the
Anyone know what's up with the sheep? The sheep noise in that little.
There's
little
two
sparkle?
of those.
Yeah,
there's 2 of those. I don't know what. It's got to be for like a bonus thing, probably. I don't know.
Sheep? I don't know.
Yeah. Did you find that out? There's 2 spots where when I jumped, it would make a sparkle, and then you would hear. And
oh,
it's like,
really?
What?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
and I think you did it earlier. We'll see if you do it again. But it happened for me in 2 spots.
Okay.
So maybe you have to find all the spots. And then, so this whole time you're doing this like timed jumping with insta-kills. You can just kill them with the whip.
Oh,
and
well, that would have been nice.
Because I was dying to it so much.
That was rough. So I did have to load up this level specifically and just kind of replay this a couple times, because, this is one of these. It doesn't take too long. It maybe like 40, 50 minutes to get here. But this area is kind of challenging, so I wanted to learn it. So did anyone know there's a debug menu in the game?
I didn't.
So it's on the Genesis. I don't know if they have it on the Super Nintendo, but yeah, we're going to show up a little at the end of the game. We're going to show a little bit of the footage of it, but it's really kind of cool because when you load it up, it says something like, "Oh, yeah, this is for QA and Shiny developers only." And you can go, you just like any level you want to start on. You can do what they call a helicopter mode, which actually just allows you to scroll around the entire area, so you can just kind of see like what's around. So it's really kind of cool.
Nice.
And we'll
so
show a little bit.
It's a way to kind of like find all the secrets without having to find them.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I really appreciate that, because, I did want to beat the game 100% with, naturally without using save states. But at the same time, I just needed to practice the last level. So that was really nice to just go like, all right, cool. We're going to 3 lives, last level. Let's learn it. Go.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're almost these guys.
This section.
The soccer balls and the little pincers, they're definitely a little challenging here. And so we're... we're gonna figure it out.
There was one of the cheat
eventually.
things.
Yeah.
Lots of spikes and all that good stuff. Oh, we got a game
those
over.
Oh, snap. Yeah, we didn't mention that the basketballs, if you stand on them and don't jump, you'll just slide and start to slide off. So you have to just kind of spam
so
jump.
Yeah, if you just keep spamming jump
hold
there.
your ground, yeah.
So we're on the last little section. This one's pretty easy. It's kind of just a straight line. There's a couple more of these little basketballs with the pincers, but it's actually quite a bit easier. And we're going to get to the end boss. The first half of the end boss. So,
the back half.
The back half, yeah. And when I first tried to kill this boss, I used guns. And that was very difficult because as you do damage, these platforms are coming from the left to the right, and it'll be replaced with spikes. So as you do more damage, I think more spikes to come. But if you just sit there and spam your head, I think you just do way too much damage for the fight to catch up, and you can basically beat the boss very quickly.
Yeah, I used the whip for sure.
I was all gun on that one.
All gun. Yeah, it takes a while. It's challenging. If you beat it with the gun, that is a great thing there. Now, here is something that took a little bit for me to figure out, but once you figure it out, how to actually beat the end boss. Alamaxia, did you figure out the strategy there?
After losing a life and an entire clip of all of my ammo, I was like, I wonder what happens if I... Oh!
Yeah, you win the game. Just
what?
Wait, Lobos,
what?
How did you beat this?
I beat it with gun.
Oh, what? I didn't know you could beat it with
Did
gun.
you whip it?
Yeah.
So here's this is the one time in the game that I used plasma cannon, and I saved my plasma.
Use that. I didn't know you could I didn't know you could kill it with guns. No, it's much easier,
well,
Lobos.
There you go.
Lobos, baby.
Well,
no.
It wasn't hard, though.
Papa Fat Wizard's going to show
it.
you the strategies of what you do here.
All right, it's dying to the
and by the way, this is like
got it.
Okay,
I'm writing it down. Yep.
This is seriously, this is like the most Lobos of strats. What's going to happen? I don't want to spoil it for you. We'll talk about it when it does happen. Okay. But I just want you to see it and see what you think about it. So, did I make it? No, I'm going to die, I think.
Yeah, it's a good strat.
Yeah, okay, good. So, by the way, there's these little there's these little green platforms, and one circles outside of the Queen Slug, whatever, and then one circles around it. So you have to jump on those independently, and it's kind of hard to judge where they are. They're off screen. But here we go. Yeah. I've got the timing. Now I just need to go jump. Oh, come on. Really? Just do it. Fat Wizard, just jump. You know what to do. I've done this 100 times. Okay. There we go. So the idea is if you just hit her once with your whip, she dies.
Yeah.
So you basically just jump in there and hit her with your whip once and groovy.
Well, I feel much more accomplished. I have a lot more experience using
Guess what? None
guns.
of it matters because we're not watching your footage there. Hey, you're the best.
Hey, what's her name?
What was her name?
Princess, what's her name?
That dog is totally from The Mask, by the way. Well, and the cartoons. But
yeah. So once you beat her, you go, you see the princess, and you're like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful, and you're so excited. And then the cow lands on her, squishes her, and Earthworm Jim's mouth just kind of like was it Wile E. Coyote type thing, and he walks off just in despair. It was like, oh, it's
so tried. You tried. And there's the crown, like her princess crown on the ground there too. It's just, I guess you smashed.
But
guess I'll go home.
She's still blinking, right? So there's still a possibility she might
creepy
come out of this. So Earthworm Jim's gonna double check. I just want to make sure. There might be an opportunity to save the situation here. So Earthworm Jim's gonna come back and be like, maybe I can help out a little bit there. So unfortunately, that cow is a little too heavy.
Well, maybe.
Okay. But Earthworm Jim is wisened up. He's like, well, I guess if the queen doesn't have the crown, I could just take it. So he kind of comes back on screen. He's like, yoink, and takes it back. So.
Well, he got riches.
Yeah,
so
that
man, for like
Earthworm
$20.
Jim, great game. We've got our Patreon supporter screen up here. Wanting to thank everyone for supporting this episode, Earthworm Jim, and all future episodes. So thank you so much, everyone. And again, if you would like to be a part of the support here for the Saturday Morning Gaming Show, you can head over to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com or patreon.com/Saturday Morning Gaming Show. and you can learn more about how you can subscribe there. And then again, on the video here, we're just going to show a little bit of the debug options and text there, because that's kind of fun.
Nice.
But as we kind of wrap this up, folks, what do we think? Last words on Earthworm Jim. Like, walk me through feelings, impressions, 20 years or 25 years in the future.
It brought me back to a simpler time when I was playing Earthworm Jim and Donkey Kong and Mario on Super Nintendo over at their house every other weekend. Yeah. It was a flashback. It was so good. It was everything I remembered and then more.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they don't make games like this anymore, sort of. Maybe some indies, but mostly they don't, which is, it's a bad thing, but it's also a good thing, I think. It is what it was, and it's this era, and I'm all down for homages, paying homage to this era of games. I definitely don't think it should be the standard, but it's crazy. It is very 90s, just like booger butt humor, and...
Which, by the way, and we gotta check out Booger Man one of these days.
Yeah,
right?
Somebody mentioned that today, and I was like, "Oh, I forgot about Booger Man." You literally like flick boogers at people. I think I think
they even called it like a pick and flick adventures with the tagline. So I think you're right. These are the games that you need to have as sort of palate cleansers in between your your Call of Duties and your Gears of War. It's just like something that's kind of zany. This is really just kind of a weekend game, as much of the games were kind of rental games. You pick it up over a weekend and you play it with some friends over, the Saturday night or whatever, and then you move on to the next one. But I tell you what, I would love to check out Earthworm Jim too. I think there's a Game Gear one and even a Sega CD one. So
whoa,
yeah,
nice.
They did do an HD remake of this one. I wonder if they did an HD remake for 2.
Really
interesting. Well, that's going to wrap up Earthworm Jim. So, we always got to figure out what sort of game we're going to play next.
I need a game that I can really sink my teeth into. What are we going to play?
Yeah. Okay. One I won't get too cross with.
Okay. Maybe what sort of music would you like here? Is it like some rock or some metal or classical, or like what sort of?
I like a good symphonic piece.
So you want to go to the symphony?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I like vampire music. Okay, that went too far.
That's too far. We're gonna check out Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation. So. Lobos and I, we've played it and beat it.
Yes.
Alamaxia has not. So I think there's
entirely unspoiled. I'm looking forward to this.
So I'm very interested. We're not going to tell Alamaxia anything. We're just going to let him play and figure it out, and we'll see what sort of things we can chat about in July. So that'll be awesome. Yes. And before we get going, we do have another mailbag segment here. This is great. We always appreciate getting some mail into our site here. Again, if you ever have any comments, feedbacks, just want to say, hey, thanks, you can always go to that our feedback form on SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. But this one's courtesy of Dustin White. So Dustin, again, thank you so much for taking some time to write us into the show. And Dustin says, hey guys, love the show. It helped me pass night after night of grueling 11-hour drives. That's crazy. And it's probably entertained plenty of regular people who have seen me bursting out laughing in dead stop traffic. So I don't know that we're that funny, but all right, cool. I'll take it. If you do end up reading this, I've got a game suggestion for you guys to check out. Now, I know that your requisites are to play games at least one of you are nostalgic for, so completely understand if you turn it down for playing this on the show. That being said, Sly Cooper's first game in the series turns 20 this year, and I think you guys will get a good laugh out of it.
Nice.
Yeah, and like I said, if not completely understood, and thanks for the countless hours of entertainment. Keep up the good work. So, yeah, I did some fact checking. Dustin is correct. Sly Cooper is 20 years old. And I'll say it's a game that I've played the demo of and never played more of, but I've always been interested. Not going to announce anything yet, but Dustin and other Sly folks, you might want to keep your eye on future episodes this year because, like you said, it is 20 years old, so it might be a good time to check it out. So, again, thank you, Dustin. So, sadly, we have reached the end credits to this episode, and we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast or watching us on YouTube.
And we do release a new podcast monthly, so be sure to follow and subscribe on iTunes, Google, Spotify, whatever your platform of choice is, and make sure to give us that thumbs up or that like.
Two
and
thumbs
if you
up.
have any feedback, again, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email at SaturdayMorningGamingShow@gmail.com, or just go to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. Use the contact form there. Give us a hello. How are you doing?
And a special shout out to
great.
TechnoAxe for much of the music this episode.
For Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in July with Castlevania Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation.